In the shadow of these ancient Sumerian city walls, something astonishing was born: writing. Before this invention, human knowledge was fleeting, held by storytellers and passed around campfires, until each retelling faded into myth and folklore. Writing preserved thoughts and histories, enabling Sumer to invent even greater innovations, such as the wheel, the plow, and the sexagesimal number system, which used a base of 60. But perhaps most importantly, writing also recorded their religious beliefs. For the Sumerians, the cosmos was a vast ocean ruled by capricious deities. To appease them, they created epic myths detailing the deeds of gods like Enki, the trickster god of water and wisdom, and his consort, Ninsun, the goddess of healing. Through rituals and offerings, priests kept the gods appeased and maintained social order. Unfortunately, many of these myths have been lost to time, but some have survived thanks to their syncretism with later Mesopotamian religions, notably the Epic of Gilgamesh. This heroic tale follows the king of Uruk as he embarks on a perilous journey to find the secret to immortality. Along the way, he confronts terrifying creatures, defies the laws of nature, and grapples with the inevitability of death. Though ultimately unsuccessful, Gilgamesh gains wisdom and acceptance of his mortality, offering a profound commentary on the human condition that resonates even today. The Sumerians didn't limit themselves to the natural world. They built magnificent temples like the White Temple of Uruk, a stepped pyramid dedicated to the goddess Nya. Its white color symbolized purity, and its multiple levels carried worshippers closer to the heavens. While the ziggurat's exact purpose remains uncertain, it likely served as a platform for religious ceremonies and a symbol of the city's power. And that power extended far beyond Sumer. The Sumerians didn't exist in a vacuum. They interacted, traded, and occasionally battled with neighboring cultures. One such interaction led to the emergence of the Akkadian Empire under Sargon the Great. Although not ethnically Akkadian, Sargon identified with the dominant culture and established the empire's capital at Akkad. His military campaigns expanded Akkadian influence across Mesopotamia, laying the groundwork for future empires. However, the Sumerians continued to thrive, demonstrating remarkable adaptability in the face of changing cultural and political landscapes. As the Akkadian Empire waned, Sumerian culture saw a revival during the Third Dynasty of Uruk. Under the rule of Shulgi, a visionary monarch, the empire reached its zenith. Shulgi implemented innovative policies such as a standardized system of weights and measures and the establishment of a professional bureaucracy. These reforms fostered stability and prosperity, allowing Sumer to flourish once again. However, the empire's eventual collapse at the hands of the Third Dynasty of Babylon marked the end of Sumerian autonomy. Despite this setback, the Sumerians continued to contribute significantly to Mesopotamian culture, particularly in the realm of religion. Many Sumerian deities were absorbed into the Babylonian pantheon, including the prominent godhead Marduk. As the supreme deity of Babylon, Marduk replaced Enki as the chief god, reflecting the shifting religious landscape of Mesopotamia. This syncretism highlights the Sumerians' profound impact on Mesopotamian religious thought, leaving an indelible mark on later theological traditions. The resilience and adaptability of the Sumerians are evident in their ability to flourish under diverse political circumstances. During the Old Babylonian period, Sumerian culture found patronage under the rule of Hammurabi, the sixth king of the First Babylonian dynasty. Hammurabi's Code of Laws, one of the earliest comprehensive legal systems, bears witness to the influence of Sumerian culture. Despite facing challenges such as the destruction of their homeland by the Amorites, the Sumerians persevered. Their language, though no longer used in everyday life, continued to serve as a liturgical language for religious ceremonies, a testament to their enduring cultural legacy. Even as the region transitioned to Aramaic, Sumerian continued to hold a prominent place in religious and scholarly contexts, reflecting its historical significance and the respect it commanded from subsequent cultures. The Kassite dynasty marked a significant chapter in Sumerian history. Despite being an outside power, the Kassites integrated into Sumerian culture, adopting their language and customs. This cultural exchange enriched both societies and ushered in a period of stability and prosperity. Trade flourished and the arts thrived, leaving behind exquisite examples of Kassite cylinder seals that blend Sumerian motifs with their own artistic traditions. This fusion of cultures resulted in a vibrant cultural tapestry, showcasing the adaptability and influence of Sumerian civilization. As the millennia passed, the echoes of Sumerian civilization reverberated through Mesopotamia, inspiring awe and wonder in those who uncovered its secrets. The discovery of Sumer profoundly impacted the understanding of human history, revealing the birthplace of civilization and shedding light on the origins of fundamental human innovations. For archaeologists and historians, excavating Sumer has been a journey through time, uncovering the roots of societal structures, technological advancements, and cultural practices that have shaped our world. Each artifact unearthed, each inscription deciphered, and each layer of history explored has illuminated the brilliance of Sumerian innovation and their lasting contributions to human civilization. As we continue to explore the depths of Sumer, the cradle of civilization, we pay homage to the ingenuity, resilience, and cultural richness of a society that dared to dream big dreams in the heart of a harsh and unforgiving land. The Sumerians, the black-headed people, forever etched their place in history, reminding us that even in the face of adversity, humanity can strive for greatness. Now, we need to introduce a new character into our story, a mysterious figure whom scholars call the Shepherd King, credited with inventing the concept of law and instituting a new system of collective labor organized through the Great Temple economy. We don't know much about him, but his innovations would pay unprecedented rewards. Across the region, farmers banded together into cooperatives, pooling their resources and manpower to build elaborate systems of canals, ditches, and reservoirs. The massive surplus they generated became the fuel for an urban revolution, an explosion of population growth and cultural achievement that spread throughout the Fertile Crescent. Before we dive into this world, though, I have a question for you. What do you think is the most important innovation in human history? Let us know your answer in the comments below. For the first time in human history, society could consistently produce more food than it consumed. This surplus was a new kind of wealth, a stored energy that reshaped everything. No longer was survival tied to the endless toil of farming. For the first time, large numbers of people were permanently freed from agricultural labor. And that single change altered the very definition of what it meant to be human. With freedom from the fields came specialization. Entire lives could now be devoted to a single craft. Potters refined their art and invented the potter's wheel. Weavers produced fine textiles, brewers perfected beer, smiths and masons emerged as full-time tradesmen. Others took on entirely new roles: priests to oversee rituals, soldiers to guard the city's wealth, and administrators to manage its resources. Society was stratifying into new layers of professions and classes. But these specialists needed more than villages, they needed something larger, more complex. And so, in southern Mesopotamia, the first cities were born. The greatest of them all was Uruk. By 3000 BC, Uruk was the largest settlement on Earth, a true metropolis of 50,000 to 80,000 people. Its influence spread far beyond Mesopotamia, shaping cultures from the mountains of Iran to the Nile Valley of Egypt. According to legend, its great defensive wall was built by Gilgamesh himself, a wall nearly 6 miles long with hundreds of towers, requiring millions of mud bricks. It was more than protection. It was a symbol of civilization itself, separating the ordered world within from the chaos beyond. At Uruk's heart were the sacred precincts. The first, the Ina district, was dedicated to Inanna, the goddess of love and war. Its temples were adorned with brilliant cone mosaics, thousands of painted clay cones pressed into plaster walls, forming dazzling patterns that shimmered in the sun. The second was the Anu district, crowned by the White Temple, the world's first true ziggurat, rising high above the plains. This man-made mountain was a bridge between earth and sky, its shining white walls visible for miles. Below these monumental temples sprawled the dense, bustling life of the city. Narrow streets wound between thousands of mud-brick houses. Canals crisscrossed the settlement, carrying boats laden with goods. The air was alive with the sounds of merchants calling, smiths hammering, priests chanting, animals bleating, and tens of thousands of voices learning, for the first time, how to live together as citizens. At the center of this urban revolution was the temple. The temple was the landowner, the employer, the treasury, the granary, and the marketplace. Every harvest, every jar of beer, every bolt of cloth was considered property of the god, managed by priests and scribes. In return for their labor, people received rations measured portions of barley, beer, oil, and wool. This was the birth of wages and of the first redistributive economy, where wealth flowed into the temple and was then allocated back to the people. To manage this complex system, new tools of administration emerged: clay tablets for accounting and the cylinder seal, the world's first signature, an unforgettable mark of identity and authority. Yet the staggering scale of Uruk also brought new challenges. How did you feed 50,000 people without farming? The answer was imports. And so ships began appearing along the Persian Gulf, sailing back from long journeys laden with exotic goods and raw materials from the mountains of Oman and the shores of the Indian Ocean. Uruk was becoming a hub of international trade. Indeed, by 3000 BC, archaeologists believe the city may have handled half of the world's maritime traffic. And as ships arrived bearing riches from distant lands, Uruk was transformed into a melting pot of cultures, home to dozens of different languages and customs. To govern this diversity, the Sumerians developed the world's first law code, a collection of royal decrees inscribed on a black stone slab called the Code of Namu, which outlined fines for crimes such as beating a neighbor, damaging property, or even insulting the king. But Uruk was not only an economic and administrative revolution, it was a social one as well. Villages of equals gave way to a hierarchy. At the top stood kings and high priests, claiming divine authority. Beneath them rose a growing middle class of scribes, merchants, and craftsmen. At the base were the common laborers, the farmers and workers whose endless toil sustained the entire system. And at the very bottom was a new class, slaves, mostly prisoners of war or people trapped by debt forced to perform the harshest labor. And it was among the slaves that the worst abuses occurred. Enslaved people could be bought and sold like cattle, forced to work without pay, and even put to death for minor infractions. This was a far cry from the egalitarian society that had flourished just generations before. And yet, despite these problems, life in the city offered opportunities unknown in the countryside. A freed farmer with a few acres and a slave or two could become a prosperous landowner. A gifted craftsman might rise to the rank of master artisan. A brilliant scribe could become a powerful administrator. For the first time in human history, individuals could advance based on talent alone. But this new society also faced dramatic challenges. As the population surged, pressures on the water supply, agricultural production, and available land intensified. Without abundant farmland, social order would collapse. And so competition for resources became the defining feature of Sumerian life. As one text put it, may strife and quarrels increase, reflecting the cutthroat environment in which Sumerians lived. Land speculation and tax evasion became widespread, bribery and extortion were rampant. The constant threat of famine undermined every effort. It was a precarious existence, and yet somehow it worked. Over the next centuries, no fewer than 5 Sumerian city-states rose to prominence, each centered around a great temple complex. Some were rivals, others were allies, but all were bound together by a shared culture, language, and system of exchange. And when a neighboring kingdom threatened this fragile balance, they united to fight back. Led by the warrior queen Enheduanna, daughter of Sargon of Akkad, they defeated the invaders and preserved the unity of Sumer. This was a heady time, a golden age of Mesopotamian civilization. Great works of literature such as the Epic of Gilgamesh were composed. Monumental temples and ziggurats were constructed. New gods were worshipped. A new standard of ethics known as the Kassite laws were codified. And innovations such as the plow pulled by oxen and the use of wheeled vehicles transformed agriculture and transportation. This was the legacy of the Shepherd King, an astonishing flowering of human potential made possible by the invention of the city and the temple economy. And yet beneath this brilliance lurked the dark side of civilization. The glittering temples, the mighty walls, the bustling streets of Uruk rested on the shoulders of those who toiled endlessly. The Sumerians themselves described it as a dark and evil day when humankind left the fields and took up the hoe. For indeed, the further humans progressed, the more burdensome life became. Gone were the days of communal meals, cooperative labor, and egalitarian values. Now there were landlords and tenants, employers and employees, masters and slaves. Gone were the hunters and gatherers who lived in harmony with nature. Now there were cities that strained to feed their populations and armies that marched to conquer new territories. Yet, despite these profound changes, it is undeniable that this was a great moment in human history. For in the Fertile Crescent, humanity had taken an irreversible step, the invention of the city, and with it the birth of organized society as we know it. As we wrap up our Sumerian saga, we want to thank our patrons for making it possible for us to explore these fascinating ancient cultures. If you would like to support our series, please consider becoming a patron today. So thank you for joining us on this journey through time and for discovering the wonders of Sumer with us. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep seeking knowledge, and keep dreaming of the incredible stories that have shaped our world. Goodbye.